That's because your phone needs to be muted. There's a ghost gremlins.
Good morning. Today is November 13th, 2024. The time is now 9 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I will call this meeting to order. If you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And if you would join us, please, for the pledge and for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Join us for the invocation, please. Our Heavenly Father, we just come before you this morning, Lord, and Father, we thank you for the snow that you sent. We thank you for the beauty that it creates, and we look at the mountains and with the snow on them, and we just sit in awe of you. Father, we ask that as we come together here today, that you would be with us. We ask, Lord, for your guidance. We ask for your direction, for your wisdom, as we come together and do the business of the county. And Father, we just thank you. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
We thank you for the muscles that have been created by shoveling the snow.
That's right. And the patience that it
Digging out
gives
of
to
the
those
ditch.
that can't get out. All right, Kelly, can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Epp,
Present.
County Attorney Dan Slater,
Here.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Okay, and audience introductions. Caitlin, we'll start with you.
Caitlin Womack, BOCC admin.
Maxwell Hanson, the interim executive director, UCOG.
James Gilbert.
Okay, and I'm not sure, it looks like we might have a couple of people online. If someone goes to speak later, if they could identify themselves for the record, I would appreciate it. Amendments to the agenda.
None from me.
None from me, sir.
Okay, no minutes today. Commissioner items, Commissioner Epp.
Let's run through the schedule. So today, of course, the 20th and then the 27th, all here, all on Wednesday. We will have a Board of Health, Wednesday, the 27th, that afternoon. Is that at 1 o'clock, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. 1 to 3, and then the first week in December, we won't be having a meeting. We'll be at the CCI conference that week, and then it'll be
See, that's what days? That's the 20.
the first through the third. I think it's no, it's the
Second.
second, third, and
Second.
fourth.
Third and fourth.
Yeah.
CCI.
So that's kind of our schedule for this month. Still whittling down on going through budget. December, I don't know, 11th, 13th, whatever that date is gonna be here before we know it, so we're just continuing on with that. That's kind of it's the 11th, so that'll be our first meeting in December. And that's the day we have to approve the budget, so.
Yeah, and there's a rumor going around, we're raising taxes. I don't know why that rumor's going around, but we need to make sure people tune into the meetings when they're around.
Yeah, I guess if their valuation went up, their taxes will go up, so.
And that's what happens.
Regardless.
But it's not us causing them to go up.
No.
Matter of fact, we're gonna have to consider taking them down.
We, in fact, since we're capped at a 5.2%, this year, it'll set the mill levy at where it's gonna set it at, so that we can't take any more than that 5.2%, so.
No, and we still have to vote on, we already took it down, what is it?
0.5%.
0.5% last year, we gotta vote to do that again.
So we'll see where
See
we're
where
at.
we're at by the time they come. When does that happen anyway? When do we certify?
Sometime in December.
December,
I
I
don't
never
have
remember,
that
toward the end of
date
December.
on me, or maybe it might be the first.
Last
week
year
of
was
January, so-
in January, because they were all messed up. I don't know if they
So-
still are or not. The state is.
No, hopefully they won't mess with it this year. We don't need any more of that
Big mess.
business, so, yeah, no. That's all I've got.
Alrighty, sir. Mr. Kenda.
Good news on the TV front, Flash. It did overheat one time, but right before the storm, remember how warm it got? And Matt has done a good job of insulating the place, so it got a little warm in there and it stayed warm. But we've got a way to reset now, and it popped a breaker in the studio. And so what they're gonna do is an automatic boot at 2 o'clock in the morning every morning, so if somebody's watching TV, then they may see a glitch.
Okay.
But we shouldn't be bothered by a loss of signal anymore, unless we break it. So that's good. On the airport front, the pad was poured for the tank. They dug the trench for the electricity. They got a contractor hired. You've seen the notes on it. It's looking good. Snow stopped it, of course,
Yeah.
like everything else. And that's going on. And I'm gonna be going over to the Upper Ark Water Conservancy District on Thursday, that's tomorrow at 1. So I'd like to, I know Bob's trying to get an interview going with Maxim, attorney.
Oh, yeah.
And I would like to do that early in the morning if you guys can make it early.
Yeah, whatever time. I told them I had that date pretty well free,
Yeah.
so.
The airport board had their meeting, we did that by Zoom this week during the storm. So I'm not gonna have that meeting on Thursday, tomorrow. And I wanna talk to the Upper Ark about, I'd like to have them come up here either in December on a good break to give a presentation to the community and us on projects they got going with Lake Louise and other water things. So we'll see, and I'll get our new admin, who's taking copious notes over there, to schedule up a meeting get our schedules all synced up. By the way, nice having you here. Kate. So,
How about the fence?
and the fence, they've got that nailed down to, they're not gonna put a gate in where the cattle guard is now. So it's working just 3 gates now to fix it. The fence is, they still got that's in work. The Lot 6 guys are putting up the money, and we're matching it with our posts that we're getting.
Okay.
Going good, well.
All right.
And I'll think of something else later. Over to you guys.
All right. We have the weed board meeting at Pathfinder. That's the regional board weed meeting that is taking place tomorrow. I was planning on going. I believe you were gonna try to go to that as well.
Yeah, I'll go along too, so since, we'll be having a transition there, so.
And then,
There's somebody else that was wanting to get involved in the weed board. Might be a good idea, if it did, to take a citizen down there, if you've got a volunteer.
You have the name? Okay.
I'll get it.
All right.
okay, yeah. And that's the regional one, our local weed board, he just sent out an email this morning with a new date. I don't have that right in front of me. That would be a good one for them to attend. And then I would just like to congratulate Paul. He will be taking my chair in January on the 14th. And so congratulations to him, and just thank you for everyone that came out and voted on the other day. I think that was a good turnout.
Great election went well.
So
Congratulations to Lucas too.
yes,
Thank you.
And Kelly. went off without a hitch, more or less.
Okay, Dan, have you got anything for us?
I do not.
And Caitlin?
Right, yeah.
We have no unfinished business. First item of new business that we have would be the lots 9 through 11 of block 88 and lots 3, 4, 7, and 8 of block 93, town of Silver Cliff, for self-help housing. And again, thank you for being here today, Max. Those are the last 7 lots that we acquired from the college, and those are the ones we had designated previously for the self-help. We had discussed possibly putting some deed restrictions on those, and I know that went back to our housing board, and they did some research. A lot of those deed restrictions we are not allowed to even consider, and they came back with a recommendation, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we proceed without deed restrictions on those.
I think we have one.
Okay.
One deed restriction left. And it's that one right there.
The one restriction then, yes, would be, for eligibility would be that they are employed in Custer County and income qualifications consistent with income requirements as outlined for the most current USDA Rural Development Self-Help Housing Program. To get us into discussion, I would make a motion that we proceed with taking those 7 lots and giving those to UOCOG for the self-help housing with that one condition.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Max, you wanna explain for everybody what it is first, so.
Yeah, so the self-help housing program is a sweat equity program. As long as applicants are income qualified, they do 65% of the work in the construction of their own home. We have a construction supervisor on staff that provides technical assistance and supervision of the job site. Homeowners typically will do things such as siding, roofing, doors, windows. They don't do framing or some of the more specialized skills like electrical or plumbing. They also handle their own painting, landscaping. There's a matrix that rural development has created where different tasks in the construction process is equal to a different percentage of the home construction. And then they walk in with the equity that they save by doing the work themselves. So typically it can be anywhere from 50 to 60,000. Just depends on cost of materials, labor for local regional contractors, and site acquisition. So
No, we could almost consider this old business.
Yeah, we probably could. Because we never have anything in our old business, but, I guess I would go ahead and ask your opinion of that one restriction.
I don't see it as being a barrier. Any deed restrictions I do have to send to rural development to get their approval from the OIG, Office of Inspector General. And then they'll get back to us on the deed restrictions. So if the county had decided to, deed those over to UCOG with that stipulation, I would just like to have a copy of whatever the deed restriction would be so I can send it ahead of time for approval before anything's recorded.
Okay. There was a note at the bottom of this as well from the housing board. If it is revealed that such a restriction is not allowed, then the committee recommends that the lots be transferred without any restrictions. Would we like to make that a motion if they do deny that at the state level.
Yeah, I would think so. I think, those 7 lots for us has garnered us nothing. It hasn't done anything for the city of West Cliff, or Silver Cliff. But if we can get these built on, it provides somebody the ability to build their own home, put sweat equity in it. And now we have 7 lots that are taxable and do bring in taxes, both for the county, but especially for Silver Cliff. It gets vacant lots, opened up to, allow somebody a place to stay as long as they meet the requirements, so. I mean, I can easily get behind this because those lots are just sitting there doing nothing for us, and we have to maintain those lots, so it's actually cost us a little bit to keep them mowed up, and yeah, it's minimal, but it kind of gets stuff out of our asset list that just provides nothing for us. And we didn't buy these with taxpayers' dollars, they were a grant from a wealthy family that gave the money to buy them, so.
Couple quick questions. Are there water taps on all 7?
My understanding is the infrastructure is there, but there are no taps associated with the lots yet.
So the taps would be on top of,
So how are they gonna get, that's pretty costly, and I don't know that, Round Mountain's even letting them do it right now.
I thought
they
they
are,
lifted their
they're
moratorium.
open, yes, the moratorium's
Oh,
on,
that's right, the moratorium's off.
so
So
they
it's
would
gonna
have
cost
to
40
roll
grand or whatever it costs.
30,000.
It's about 30 and it's built into our construction cost estimates.
And power,
Typically you have Black Hills here, right? Is it Black
Yes.
Hills? Okay.
Yes.
In other locations, Black Hills has actually donated, installing the service to the homes.
so the prospective owner has to pony up how much?
They don't pony up anything, it's
They
a
qualify to make a payment of X.
Yeah, it's all income based, so it's kind of a sliding scale. Based on their income, they can qualify for subsidy from rural development to help make sure that their mortgage is affordable.
And the money to build it comes from where?
Rural development,
Where does that come from?
it would be national.
US
tax,
Department of
yeah.
Agriculture.
Taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Of how much is it in total that you said they're willing to spend on it? Whose plan, who has the plan? Is it a prospective owner has a house plan that is presented to somebody and they
No,
approve
so-
it? How's it work?
Lately, we've been working with an architecture, they're Marshall Architecture, and they work with almost all of the self-help housing programs statewide, because rural development has a set of guidelines on, materials, R factors for insulation, energy efficiency guidelines, so.
Number of bedrooms capped?
What's that?
Is the number of bedrooms limited?
So they try and keep the bedroom size limited to what the family actually needs, so
So
for
they look
example.
at it individually, per family that apply,
Yeah,
before
so-
they finalize the plan?
Yes,
And so the total amount allowed to spend on it is what?
they just changed that this year, I wanna say it's close to 317,000 for the total cost that they could qualify for. That's the cap, but again, what they actually qualify for is based on their income. So, until we actually income qualify people, I don't have a good answer for you. The 6 lots that we're about to start in Florence right now, those families qualified anywhere from about 240 to 280,000.
So you're taking the position of a mortgage banker, so you're qualifying them like a banker would for anybody.
Essentially, so I mean, we do the initial paperwork with them, then we
Okay.
submit it to rural development for final approval.
So veterans can get a no down payment loan and be qualified to, to go build a house if they wanted to. So it sounds similar to me, because then there's no limit on what they wanna buy. They just qualify that with between the veterans, what they want and what the bank will pay, without spending a dime of taxpayer money.
Mhm.
So I'm kinda torn on this, because we got a lot of veterans up here.
Mhm.
And And maybe they would also qualify, but for this as well.
So, I mean,
So I'm torn on why we wanna use taxpayer money to do that, you see?
mhm,
So that's my issue.
okay,
And they'd have the same issue if they got water and all that, there's a lot of people that would come up here and wanna have a house up here. I still worry about them flipping it.
so. Okay, I mean, with the funding of the mortgage, so yes, while the mortgage is basically financed by rural development, the homeowners are still making the payments to rural development, so the
Right.
money's getting paid back even if it is taxpayer money.
I see, I hear you. Then they could flip it and make a buck, then that wouldn't go to rural development. The profit would go to them.
Potentially, and again, I think I've
That's-
shared in the past, there's been no families in the last 10 years that have done that in the program.
Right, that's all my concerns
Sure.
for now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the biggest concern was the flipping action of you put in your 50+% of the sweat equity in it, and then you flip it and you get that 50% back out, and you take it, but.
Dan, had you seen?
The deed restriction?
Yeah.
I'd seen, I don't know that I'd seen that specific language, but I've seen that concept and weighed in on it, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you did, I did see your reply on that.
How many, do you have any applications for up here?
So when we were pushing the program last year, we had 3 people that we were working with in the community, that was just over 2 months. But then we weren't able to overcome the water sewer tap issue.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, and we kind of want to get this done before 26, because isn't that the statewide energy code thing that they're trying to push through, if I remember right?
I know they had a energy code standard, I think that went into effect July 1 last year, where if a municipality was updating their building codes, then they had to adopt the most recent energy
Okay.
efficiency standards.
Okay.
So as long as, I know Silver Cliff hasn't done that yet, we'll be
Silver Cliff has
operating
not
under
done
Silver.
Okay, good. Because that'll greatly increase the cost of a home.
Yeah, I mean, even with Silver Cliff's building standards, we still have to follow rural development standards.
Okay.
But
Okay.
This would probably help Silver Cliff as well, where they signed up for
the Prop 123.
the Prop 123, so
Yep, these
that
these
housing
7 would
would
actually meet their commitment for their whole 3-year period, so they'd hit it in one fell swoop.
so that would be kind of a win-win there as well. Anything else there at the table? Public comment? Okay, hearing none, those in favor of releasing or giving those 7 lots, be lots 9 through 11, block 88, and lots 3, 4, 7, and 8 of block 93 in the town of Silver Cliff to UCOG for self-help housing with the one deed restriction that they should be employed in Custer County and income qualifications consistent with the income requirements as outlined for the most current USDA Rural Development Self-Help Housing Program. And if it is determined that that restriction cannot be placed, that would be removed. Signify by saying aye.
I vote nay, and the reason I do is for the reasons I said, and given that the tap and the power is there, it makes the property more valuable, and we could sell it ourselves for the cash for the county. So I vote nay.
I vote aye.
I vote aye. So that motion carries on a 2-to-1 vote. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good job, Max.
Thank you.
Can you send
Thank
me
you
a
all.
copy of
Thank
that?
you.
Glad we didn't waste your time this
I
time.
think there's 2 copies right there, Kelly. Max, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
I'm assuming I need to prepare a deed, so you probably need to send that to me as well.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay, Next thing, be the staff reports. We have accountant on there.
Yeah, she should be online.
Lisa's on. I saw her.
Oh, good, perfect.
That's good. I don't have my computer. Lisa,
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
morning.
Volume.
We'll need to kick up the volume a little bit, I think.
because I'll mess it up.
Yeah, your computer's
I'm the one
already. We don't need any more work for Vernon right now.
I'll sit here with my hands in my lap, okay?
Should be up as high as it goes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so can you guys hear me?
Perfect, thank you, Lisa.
Okay. All right, my name is Lisa Heeman. I'm with Redlands Accounting and Advisory over in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I'm giving the report on what I've done for the county for the month of October. So what I've done is to monitor activity at October 31st, 2024, is I pulled the general ledger detail for the county through October 31st and did some review and some analysis to try to identify any red flags or accounts that seem off, or if there are any individual transactions that look like they need adjusting for the month or for the year to date. I put together recommended adjusting journal entries for Vernon's review and posting to CIC. And I'll be getting those actually to him on probably tomorrow or Friday after I do some reconciliation of DHS. And then I worked on reconciling beginning fund balance for each of the funds. So after the audit was done, we compared those and made sure they reconciled. And then on a monthly basis, I just look at that and make sure that nothing has happened to fund balance, that everything still reconciles and agrees with last year's ending balances, and that the activity is flowing correctly this year. As I mentioned, I'm currently working on reconciling the DHS fund with the state of Colorado's CFMS report. And then reclassifying reimbursement receipts to the proper accounts. I'm also working on reviewing payroll reports for October to identify any errors. So what I do there is just pull all the October payroll reports. I dump it into a spreadsheet and compare it to prior months to make sure there's consistency and that nothing's popping out as irregular. Vernon put together some internal control policies to comply with reporting that we have to do for DHS this week. And so I reviewed those and gave some feedback to Vernon. They looked really good. And it also kind of created a structure so that we can document what my procedures are on a monthly basis and a way to report that to you guys and to Vernon. What I've done is put together a share file, which is basically a secure portal. I put together a folder in there where everybody at the county can upload the information that I need to be able to do my monitoring processes. And then I can also upload any journal entries, reports, and reconciliations that I do so that the county is able to maintain that documentation. And then you can download it from there and keep it in whatever means you'd like to at the county. And that helps you so that you have a trail of what's been done as far as internal controls and reconciliations during the year, so that if you have to report to any state agency, federal agency, or to your annual auditors, then you have all that information right there for them. During my review, I think I have about 8 journal entries this year, just related to small items. There were some small items that I noted that needed to be adjusted. Most of them are reclassifications, and just continuing to adjust for issues that were noted in the past several months. The biggest one being just reclassifying insurance expense between the funds to make sure that all the funds are properly recognizing that. It got over recognized in the Road and Bridge Fund earlier this year, probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And so as the year progresses, we just need to reclassify those balances so that each of the funds is showing the appropriate amounts for insurance expense. Did you guys have any questions for me?
So, I had a thought, now I've lost it. Those 8 journal entries, is that something that, and Vernon and I, and I know you and I have talked about it too, Lisa, about we need a definition for all of our accounts, our expense accounts, so that, hey, I know that this, when it says fuel, or when it says travel, or when it says, benefits, or whatever it might be, that it's got a definition, that this is the definition of, this is when we use this expense account. Is that what we're seeing here with these 8 journal entries, or is this higher level stuff within the finance department itself?
It's some higher level stuff, and it's not anything that you wouldn't expect during the year in the regular process of accounting for the departments, if that makes sense. So some of it is misclassification, I think. Some of it is just errors that happen. And when you have a monitoring process in your finance department and somebody overseeing that, you're going to have adjusting journal entries during the year. And the important thing is that you're doing those adjustments during the year so that you're working with accurate information throughout the year. So it's taking care of all those things that the auditor would come in and post 50 journal entries in June that they found for the prior year, but you're getting taken care of during the year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's doing it by the month instead of, or you're 30 days out from those instead of almost a whole year's worth of time.
Right.
Oh, that makes sense.
Got anything else? Yeah, I do have
Yeah, go
a
ahead.
question. You're waiting for Lucas to see if he's got
Go
another
ahead.
thought. Couple things, Lisa. You're doing a great job. Thanks for being the mini auditor and a corrector of all things evil in audits here that have tropped up on us. So that makes a question for me. I'm wondering if we're going behind any at all in the past. You can go back, I don't know how far, 2014 or whatever, and there were findings in each of the years of something wrong, but not a qualified opinion. And so what we've concentrated on so far is the qualified opinion, get us out of trouble and not go back to the state. But we still have issues that we want to make sure as we're going forward in the new world with a new counting system and a new machine to do it with and people to do it with, that we're correcting the problems that were noted before, if they were, or whether they're even still viable.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably ought to find a way, because if you look at it, how do we know, there were findings made, but never was ever another mention of that finding, other than it's in the record and it keeps chasing us. So, have you run across that with other counties and cities that you've dealt with, Lisa? Because I would like to see us fixing, if there's a possibility, because we got technology now to handle it, fix the problems we've had in the past, if they're still plaguing us.
I think that having the monitoring processes I'm doing on a monthly basis should correct some of the internal control weaknesses you have. It creates more segregation of duties. So you have your accounting department taking care of the day-to-day accounting functions, and then you have somebody reviewing that and correcting it on a timely basis. That takes care of some of your internal control weaknesses. And then if you can get through the audit this year and not have a lot of adjusting journal entries, that also takes care of some of your weaknesses.
So is there a formal way for a county to recognize that we saw problems and we fixed them, and we don't have that problem specifically anymore? We might have new problems.
So,
I'd like to get rid of the tail if we can.
yeah, so some of it we've already started because we had, different journal entries or we had different accounts for the different departments, right? So we've been cleaning those up as we went through 24, and we're still cleaning those up for 25 even, is fuel and
Right.
travel is actually travel.
Categorizing things.
And we're
right.
and everybody's got the same category where it was all over the board.
So we could point back to 2012 and say, those problems that were noted have been corrected. I mean, that would be neat for us to have a record of that we did care enough, that we're looking at the whole picture of county, and that we're not carrying on a process or a practice that got us in
Right.
trouble before. Not
Right.
trouble because we didn't get a qualified opinion, but it was still
But
an
caused
issue.
us difficulties or problems or issues.
Maybe there's a way to do that.
Well, and I think part of the answer to that, Bill, might be the resolutions that we've got on our agenda today, because that's the reconciliation, fund balances, budget process. Those are all things we're looking at today
We can point to something that we fixed.
that is addressing some of those issues.
And we probably could have Lisa put a document together for us saying, okay, here's item number 1 that's been there for the past 10 years. And now you're doing, because you've done this list of things, that's
Like
taken
that
care
claim,
of
we've got it.
this thing.
That's what I'd like to see.
And not that drops off ever,
No, it's still, it was a finding
But
that got us in the
much
past,
approved
but it's
and-
been
and you're
fixed,
doing all the-
we were over that.
yeah, you're doing all the things that fixed it, yeah, exactly right.
If we can do that, that'd be very good, and have us, and we could have, not a resolution necessarily, but a recognition of, the problems that had been fixed
Yeah, correct,
formally.
yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that, that we could put together something that says, here was our finding last year, here's how we've addressed it. And really, that's something that you as a local government should have anyway. So when the auditor comes in,
Right.
you have a document that says, this is our finding last year, this is how we
And you're
addressed it
saying,
the
well,
current
we
year.
filled
And
up
then
this
they can, yeah, they can test that and say, yes, they did or did not fix this finding or improve greatly from the previous year.
Or in 2012, or in 2010,
Yes.
or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Anything else from you?
No, sir.
Bill?
No.
Thank you very much, Lisa, appreciate it. That will take us now to new business with our accounts payable.
See, Jen gave that to us, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
We have one in the sum of $257,407.81, and then the additional one of $17,844.85.
Additional invoices, that's what you're talking about,
Yeah, there was an
I see,
additional one
yeah.
that been sent out too.
okay? All right, I move we accept both those reports. You can state the amounts. You got.
Yes, the additional was $17,844.85, and the original was $257,407.81.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to approve the AP reports for the sums stated. Any discussion on those, gentlemen?
None from me.
None, sir.
Okay. Public comment. That being the case, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Next item would be ordinance 24-01, establishing an automated vehicle identification system. Whereas pursuant to section 3011-101-2 of the CRS, Custer County, through its Board of County Commissioners, has the authority to adopt and enforce all ordinances regarding health, safety, and welfare issues. And whereas section 42-4-110.52 provides that a county may adopt an ordinance authorizing the use of an automated vehicle identification system. And whereas Custer County Sheriff has advised that such a system would be beneficial to protecting the safety of the citizens of Custer County and its visitors, And whereas the Board of County Commissioners has determined that adoption of an ordinance authorizing the use of an automated vehicle identification system described herein is in the interest of the citizens of Custer County. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado as follows.
Please don't read that.
I will-
Yes.
This
I'll
is,
do-
just for the clarification, is this, we have to advertise this for, or not, it's like a hearing, and for 10 days or whatever.
We did the first reading October 16th.
Did we read
down
this? I don't remember.
We read the title, and that's all we need to read.
Okay,
And then it has been published in the newspaper.
that's right, that's what I wanted to make sure everybody was clear, so the record holds there. Okay.
And this doesn't mean that you're not gonna stop giving tickets.
That's correct.
Okay. There was some concern about it, so.
Especially for flagrant violations.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it's cheaper if you don't do it.
Right, a speeding ticket minimum is like $180 plus the ding on your insurance, which can last for years. And then this is $40. And it's safer for the deputy.
And keep people, reminding them to slow down.
That's what I hope to do, yes.
And your process is going to be putting them where it's necessary, where curves are bad, snow's bad, ruts or whatever causing things to happen.
Yes, sir, we used 5 years of crash data from the state and came up with 5 locations, which I gave the county attorney. And then we also added a caveat, if we get like a number of citizen complaints in a certain area, or if Road and Bridge is working on the same
Specifically,
project on Copper Gold, then we can come there with them as well.
and the money's gonna be used for.
So that's up to the commissioners, but I would not like I don't like the sheriff's office to benefit in any way from fines or anything, so I had proposed that you could consider using the money that comes in for things that improve county road safety in general, whatever.
Which I think would be good, there's a bunch of
So we can
signs.
have that
we
in
could
our
put up.
budget discussions on what we wanna do with the money. Not
The
this-
ordinance itself says that the funds go into the general fund and that they can be placed into a fund designated by the
By-
board by a resolution.
So that's how it'll happen, that's perfect.
Or I'm sorry, with, just by a vote, actually, not even a
Right, we
resolution.
don't need it, right, okay.
Um,
Good.
No, that, and I think it's a good suggestions for public safety, especially since there is a lot of missing speed limit signs out there, or sharp curve, or whatever the case may be,
We've been having
guardrails.
terrible
maybe.
Yesterday, we went to an area where we had complaints on speeding, and the deputy got there and said there's no way that the sign out there is legal, according to the common standards for speed limit signs, so we're gonna ask that be replaced.
We have a lot of problems with signs, they're hard right now they're expensive and they're not making them, our events can't even get them. So we gotta keep on that,
So, yeah, so it might be,
you know, kids playing signs,
Right.
Amish buggies, that kind of thing, we need to get them. I've been trying to get some out there on Macy and Horn, for quite a ways, cause there's a lot of kids out there and guys pulling on the road with hay, the guys are speeding out of Horn Creek, cause they're used to being in the city, and downhill you get rolling.
Well, I did read a study that one of the most effective ways to control people's speed is the speed limit signs that also, it says like speed limit's 20 and your speed's 30 or something.
mhm.
And that's a pretty effective way to control speed. And I could look at purchasing a mobile one of those to put up in problem areas.
Probably
as
would be
well.
a good idea near, construction stuff.
Yeah.
Are those accurate?
I'm sorry?
Are those accurate though?
So yes,
They-
I
Or
believe
they
they're
have to be
accurate.
calibrated enough, because if it says I'm going 50 and I'm going 35, I'd be upset.
Right, yeah, so I would hypothesize that they're accurate, but those cannot be used.
You gotta figure out how we're gonna handle that. Alright,
Since they're not certified.
but since they're not, you're not going to court over them.
No, I agree with that, and I think Westcliff moves their signs around, they have one or two of them that they move around, and I think that little flash in your speed,
Makes my throttle go up.
yeah, your foot comes off, so I think it's a good thing.
Some of them even have little red and blue flashing lights on them when you turn out.
How would you know that?
I've seen the guy that passed me.
That was me.
I had an answer.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Not yet.
We do not yet.
Well, and I move that we accept the, what is the ordinance number?
24-01.
24-01, an ordinance establishing an automated vehicle ID system.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to approve or adopt Custer County ordinance number 24-01, an ordinance to establish an automated vehicle identification system. Further discussion here at the table.
None for me, sir.
All right, public comment. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was mentioned that it was published in the paper, and I apologize if I missed it, but I didn't see it in the paper at all, so I have a couple of questions, actually. One is, the sheriff said that if they get a number of citizens' complaints, then they can take that under advisement for a location of a thing. Is there a formal process to do that, or is it just complain that there's speeders all the time, and once they add up to a certain number, you'll do that?
I do not have a formal process.
Okay, so you just call in. And then is there an anticipated schedule or an approximate strategy, I guess is the word, for changing locations? They'll sit there for a while, but I'm sure you're gonna move.
Yeah, so we actually didn't purchase the standalone system, so this is, it'll be a deputy there with a handheld device.
So there's gonna be a guy.
There'll be an actual.
It's gonna be a real speed trap, except for a cheap one.
It'll be a mouse trap instead of a rat trap.
But the system falls under a state statute that has.
Yes, yeah, that's fine, I just wanna make sure that they don't sit there for 100 years, because then everybody will know where they are.
Sort of like your
Well, it'll
empty
show
car.
up on Google Maps.
Well, there has to be signage indicating that it's coming up, it's not a surprise.
Oh.
Part of the law is that
So
there's
it's not quite a trap.
no, it's not, no, there has to be signage indicating there's
Reminding
a
you the speed limit.
automated
Speed
vehicle
automated
identification system.
Vehicle monitor system ahead, so
Right.
slow down.
And how far ahead it is depends on whether it's a handheld system or whether it's a
Standalone.
standalone system. And the ordinance allows us to use a standalone system even though the sheriff's not
Could be
purchasing one
either
right
one.
now.
Mhm.
He or she, whoever the sheriff is at some later date, could purchase a standalone system and we wouldn't have to change anything here. In terms of where they're located, the ordinance establishes a number of corridors where this can be used. And if we want to use the system outside of those corridors where it's not a school zone or not a, road maintenance issue, we would have to, the Board of County Commissioners would have to designate a different corridor.
Oh dear. I can talk to the sheriff later. Given all of that, with the sign up, does the monitoring have to be there? In other words, does the sign go up and then does it come down?
I don't know if there's any law that says that if the sign's up, it has to be true, but that
Well,
would seem
that-
like something you'd want.
So-
The issue that I see is our most dangerous areas just down south of town, Highway 69, those curves north of the airport, we've had several
Yeah.
fatal crashes there. So for me to put the sign up, I have to get permission from CDOT, so I'm planning on that being an actual fixed sign.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, for instance, there's a series of curves right after Copper Gulch becomes dirt. And people are constantly speeding through there and going off the road. I don't know if there's been any fatalities or whatever. But I could foresee putting a sign up there and then just not monitoring it and slowing everybody down
So
as a strategy.
I agree.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that would be on the corridors that are already established, that can be a permanent signage, and then that way the sign is up when they go to monitor that.
Mhm.
If they go to, like, say, on a work zone or something like that, it will be a portable sign that goes up, because those change.
So on all those corridors, there should be a sign saying, here's the actual speed limit. And then if it gets to be where they're not ignoring that, then you just go out there and you say it's an automatic, we're gonna check it.
So actually, it's multiple signs that have to go up. There are 7 different corridors identified in the ordinance. The county has to post a permanent sign before the beginning of the corridor.
Right.
And the corridors are, Copper Gulch Road is a corridor.
Oh, road, okay.
Okay,
Pretty much.
so there has to be a permanent sign not fewer than 300 feet before the beginning of such corridor, and a permanent sign no fewer than 300 feet before each camera, or a temporary sign fewer 300 feet before any mobile camera. So the signs before the mobile cameras would theoretically be temporary, but there's also permanent signs in the corridors.
Well, thank you.
And it was, I believe, published on October 31st in the Tribune.
Okay, I just didn't see it, and I apologize for that, my oversight. Maybe I saw this amount of print and lost over it. Okay, well, thanks for this, and I sincerely hope it works.
Well, we're getting in it cheap by not purchasing anything other than the signs. And we'll see if it works. I anticipate it will.
Is the ones along the state highways, does CDOT pay for those signs?
No, we have to.
We have to pay for them.
Why don't you, for the record, say what that is, because that's important. People understand that we've got this grant.
I'm sorry, say again, sir.
Say the cost of this, why it's cheap.
Oh,
For
so
the record.
the company that offers the actual intel piece of figuring out whose car it is and mailing the ticket is giving us a free laser to use in a docking station. And their guy's actually coming out this month to train our people in using it. And if it was, an insane speed or something, just yesterday in Wetmore, they caught a guy going 75 down there. So it's an expensive ticket, so he shoots it and it says 75, he goes, ooh, this guy needs a real ticket instead of. But in the school zone, I could see it being, you just kind of stand there and it just, all the cars drive by the laser and then the computer figures out that 2 are speeding and the rest were not.
So you can override the computer to issue a real ticket. How many lasers did you get?
Just one.
Oh, well, that's gonna be easy to dodge.
For now.
Anything else?
The signs.
Yes.
How much are they if we were to buy it?
Kevin, Peggy Collins.
Okay, hang on one second.
Less than 1,000?
Less than 1,000?
It's 30,000 for a standalone unit, which is solar powered with batteries and everything.
Okay.
Peggy, go ahead.
Thank you. I think maybe my question has been answered. So what this system is going to do is there's going to be a laser. If it determines within this area that has been noticed that you are speeding, it will automatically send the ticket to the owner of that car.
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Not seeing any hands over there. Those in favor of adopting Custer County Ordinance number 24-01, an ordinance to establish an automated vehicle identification system, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Okay. And then that will be republished, is that correct?
Just by title.
By title. Okay. Next item would be the Human Services Hotline Memorandum of Understanding. Good morning, ma'am.
How's everybody today?
Good, thanks, Laura.
Oh, okay. Let me get my chair.
Hard to sit around there on the backside.
Well, some days it would probably be better. Oh, okay. I know, I just gotta go back. So you guys, Kelly sent this to you. And it's the same thing that we do every year. They do our hotline. And unless we go over a certain amount of calls, then we're not charged. So we get 48 free per year. So usually we don't go over 48, but if we do, it's a minimal charge. And Prowers has been doing this for a lot of years, and it's just something that keeps us from having to do the hotline. So I would like for us to continue that. So unless you guys have any questions?
Where is it published? How do you know your number? Is it just a normal number?
Oh, yeah, it's a hotline number. I don't know. It's out there for people to know. I mean,
Is it on a website or something?
I think it's
It's-
also
it's-
on our voicemail.
it's on our oh, yeah, it is. It's on the voicemail. It's on the website. Yeah,
It might be why you're not getting calls.
no. No, we were getting calls that we shouldn't have been getting because they weren't, the hotline was getting calls from the people were calling in to our department, and it was going to the hotline. That was a
Oh,
problem with
switching on to that.
it was a problem with the phone. So, yeah, and because of that, we got charged some extra calls because calls that people were wanting to know about their SNAP benefits or something were going to the hotline. And then the hotline would call us and go, "What's going on?" We're going, "I don't know why that's happening," but it took us a while to get the phone fixed. I don't know what happened to it, or why somebody did something or what, but anyhow, we got it fixed. And so now we're not having that. And the hotline was very glad to not have that happen anymore, because then they're answering calls that aren't hotline calls. So, yeah, I don't know, it was something with the phone, but they got it taken care of, so we don't have that anymore. So I just need a signature here, if you guys agree to this. And it starts in January, and it's for 12 months.
I move we approve the MOU with Custer County and Prowers County between them.
Well, second.
Have a motion on the floor then to approve the MOU between Custer County and Prowers County for the hotline services. Any further discussion?
How did we hook up with Prowers?
Well, when it first started, every county was supposed to have a hotline. And that was causing problems because small counties, somebody was supposed to be there 24 hours a day to do that. So I don't know, Prowers County just said that they would do it, and it's been there with them all that time. I know there's one gal that actually works the hotline in Prowers County, just met her recently, but she doesn't even live in Prowers. She just, remotely, because the calls come in, they do the intake, they send them on. So, but Prowers County manages that whole system and hires and does all of the stuff for the hotline people, so.
In multiple counties.
In
It's not just
multiple.
Custer and Prowers somehow got together.
Well, when it came out, and some counties were using this, and Prowers, said, "We are willing to take this on." And so, especially as small counties are like, yes, a lot of counties are doing this. I think maybe, I don't know about the large counties. I don't know either. But rural counties are definitely taking advantage of this. And we've been doing it for years now. So almost as long as the hotline's been in. I think we had it for maybe a year, maybe two, and then Prowers wanted to do it. I said, okay. So.
Good.
So I just need a signature here.
We need to vote on it first.
Oh, yes. Come on.
I'm trying to just get it.
Way to call that. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
No,
Public comment? That being the case, those in favor of approving the MOU with Human Services Hotline.
that'd be my phone.
It'd be your phone.
That was going off, it was going off earlier as well.
Okay,
Those in favor of approving, the
Bringing it
MOU between Custer County and Prowers County, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. I think I would like to take a short recess if we could before we move on.
Okay.
Can you sign my thing?
I will. That's part of the,
You know,
that is part of what I'm
you
doing.
know, I don't want to start recess here.
Okay, the time is now 10:08. I will reconvene this BOCC meeting. Next item on our agenda would be Resolution 24-20, an amended budget resolution transferring funds to the self-insurance fund.
You have the copy we need to sign.
Yes. I think it was this one that you gave us.
It's that one.
Okay. And, that is whereas the Custer County General Fund received property tax reimbursement from the state of Colorado pursuant to SB 22-238 in the amount of $202,299. The appropriation of $202,299 will be allocated from the fund balance of the general fund. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Section 1, that the 2024 appropriation for account, and be the 10 fund, be increased from $50,000 to $252,299. Section 2, that a 2024 appropriation of $202,299 from the general fund, 10 fund, be transferred to the 40 fund for the purpose of operational insurance coverage.
I move that we approve resolution number 2420, resolution for supplemental budget and appropriation.
And I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the resolution number 24-20 as presented here. Discussion.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Vernon, but the 50,000 was the appropriation out of the 10 fund that goes normally into the airport fund.
Yes, sir.
And we are adding the 202,299 to this. So that's why we have a total of 252,299, so.
So that account line exists in the 10 fund for operational transfers, moving money from the 10 fund into any other fund that we need to move it to. That's why that account exists. It was budgeted with $50,000 at the beginning of the year for the operational transfer to the airport. We received this money pursuant to SB 22-238 and basically a reimbursement from the state on property taxes collected that was unbudgeted. We weren't expecting it. And so this resolution appropriates those funds from the 10 fund balance and then moves it into the 40 fund to cover operational insurance costs.
Yeah, that's our self-insurance fund. This will help front load it for next year because most of our payments go out January, February.
Right.
So.
Anything else from here?
I have no issue.
Public comment? Those in favor of adopting resolution number 24-20, a resolution for supplemental budget and appropriation, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Did we want to go into policies now or?
No, we got the sheriff's JBBS screen
Okay.
first.
You gotta listen to this, Sheriff.
Okay.
Stretch your legs for a second and then you can be back. That was your cue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Oops, sorry. You're down, okay.
Okay, JBBS. So this is, that's the wrong one. Give us just a quick rundown since I don't.
So JBBS, Jail-Based Behavioral Services, is a grant that we apply for every year. And the purpose of that is, my goal is not to incarcerate them as many people as we can. And I'll speak generically about a case we had this summer, so I can avoid using the person's gender or age. But we had a person who lives locally arrested for causing 3 different drunk driving crashes just this summer. So they obviously have a substance abuse problem. And the judge gave them a friendly pat on the back for the first offense. And then the second offense, they ended up serving some time at the Fremont County Jail. But we actually were able to send a professional to visit them in the jail there to try to help them get some things straightened out before they get released. So this is just kind of money that's worth spending on a prevention basis.
No, and I think it's a good thing. Sunt does this with some of their, better hands. They know that, okay, they might have a substance abuse problem, but hey, we're gonna get you the help, we're gonna send you away, and then you'll still have a job with us when you come back, but go through it. And some of those guys come back and they help some of the others go, I don't wanna go down this road. So I think it helps out our jail costs, which are only gonna get more expensive as time goes by, so.
Every year, yeah.
So is 10 grand all they offer, all the counties?
So we're kind of an exception because we don't have a jail. And so this is for us to help people in our community who are in the
Somebody else's
path going to jail or coming out of jail. To try to get, and like you said, you can lead a horse to water sometimes, but can't make them drink, but it's worth it if we can keep.
But
this
the amount,
particular-
10,000
Right,
is fixed.
for 1 year. And then we can, if we properly spend that money, we could apply for an increase the following
I
year.
see. Is this the first time we've done that?
No, we've had it in the past when we were operating the jail.
But they didn't wanna increase it for us?
No, so they actually cut us significantly, because
Because they didn't have a jail?
because we didn't have the jail. So we're one of several counties that don't have a jail and are trying to still make a difference.
I see. Good.
And this is for
Custer residents.
residents.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Not a tourist coming through.
You maybe you could, but this is kind of more for our
So
repeat
you're gonna
customers.
decide how.
But we're gonna find a way to help everyone. But in my past experience, this money has gone primarily to full-time residents of Custer County.
Okay.
That have substance abuse problems.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. Public comment.
Do we have a motion? We don't have a motion.
Oh, well, I guess we don't do it. I would had him do the rundown, so, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve the sheriff's, going after the JBBS grant.
Can I also ask that you add to that motion that you authorize the sheriff to sign on behalf of the county?
Yes, I do.
I'll
He
second.
said.
Since it was.
Since it's
the
on here.
signature line. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to approve allowing the sheriff to submit the JBBS grant and also to have the authority to sign said grant application on behalf of the county. Further discussion.
They call it contract.
To be
not
clear,
an
it's a
application.
contract, the grant has already been, it looks like the grant's already been made, we're not applying for the grant. We are entering into a contract to accept the grant.
All right.
Okay.
And spend it like it said.
With a lengthy list of qualifications.
You know, like
Thank you for that.
82, let everybody know, this is, for 10 grand, that's like 5,000 a page or something.
It's
half a page.
82 pages or 100 page worth of requirements.
Yeah.
Caitlin wouldn't print it out for me today. So, any further discussion here?
No.
Any out public comment? Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the interest of being a nuisance. So this is in incarceration counseling for various issues that are rectifiable before they do it again, type of thing.
It can be while
Your
they're
example was
incarcerated,
DUI.
but it can also be in the community, and so the person I was speaking of was recently released from.
Okay, well,
a
so
facility,
so the
and
county
still-
is helping them.
Right.
One question that pops up, we incarcerate people in Fremont County. What if a county resident is incarcerated in Podunk County in Texas?
then it wouldn't apply.
So not all residents of the county that are in this fix can avail themselves.
Right.
Only if you're incarcerated in Fremont County.
No. It's not,
Only if you're incarcerated by our judge?
no.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're incarcerated in Fremont County and need services in the Fremont County Jail, they have their own contract and their own
Okay.
grant. Whether you're incarcerated from Custer or not.
Okay.
That's why we have a lower number, because we don't have a jail that is operational.
All right, so this is for after you leave incarceration then?
Perhaps, but we have actually sent our staff down there to help as well. We just don't want anyone to fall through the cracks of our.
Yeah, and I was just envisioning that you have somebody who's constantly going to Texas to visit relatives and has an issue and keeps getting arrested there.
That's a Texas problem.
Yeah, that is a Texas.
Well, it's a Texas problem when he's in Texas, but isn't it our problem when he comes back?
Maybe.
It could be,
She.
could
or
be,
it.
could be.
Okay, so they're potentially one of the 82 qualifiers, or whatever. Okay, sorry for being,
Just not while they're still in Texas.
well, it's theoretical. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Any further public comment? Those in favor of approving the sheriff signing the contract for the JBBS grant as discussed here today, signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
And now we'll get Vernon back for our policies.
Well, hello there.
Again. Nice to see you today.
Sure. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Morning.
How many policies have you got?
I presently have 4. I have another 6 that need a little bit of review, and then we'll be talking about those in the next couple weeks. So to give a little bit of backstory, these policies are really existing because of 3 things. First off, as you mentioned earlier, going back to the audits, I took every single audit that we've had back to 2010 and plugged them into a SWOT analysis, essentially, to understand where our material weaknesses and deficiencies really lie. In essence, it comes down to 3 things throughout the years. Not enough personnel, not enough policies, not enough oversight on existing policies because not enough personnel. So that was the first impetus for crafting these policies. The second was basically the issues that I've been running into over the last year as we were working with Lisa and the auditors to correct all of our finance murkiness. And then lastly, the response to our audit. I've been working with the state auditor's office to resolve some of the issues. The auditors issue a management letter. Sometimes that's included in the audit itself, but basically outlines our material weaknesses that they've discovered in our process. And remember, auditors don't just audit our books, they audit our entire financial system. So they look at personnel, they look at the whole, they look at the gestalt, the image as the whole, not just the numbers in lines. So when we look at our audit, it's important to remember that they're looking at a holistic picture, not just a value set.
Mistake on a spreadsheet.
Right, exactly. So these policies represent the material weaknesses that I found in the audit over the last 10 or 15 years, as well as the things that the state would like to see from us. These will help to correct the issues that we found in our audits, as well as just clarify and streamline and preserve the data, to preserve the knowledge as we keep moving forward, as personnel come and go and that type of thing. If we can always fall back to a policy, we can always have a good reference point to say, this is our policy, this is what we need to do, and I've even got a timeline policy. So with that background information, where would you like to start?
Pick one.
Okay.
Just start with one.
All right.
Go from there.
I have crafted an updated policy for the acceptance of cash and monetary donations. And do you want me to read these through? How would you like to go through this?
Let's
Give us an outline of what.
Okay.
Yeah, just, no, we don't need to read them.
Essentially, Colorado revised statutes state that the Board of County Commissioners have to receipt all monetary income into the county. Some of that is done through the budgetary process. Some of it's done through a quarterly or end-of-year reconciliation process. For instance, I'm going to be bringing to you another budget resolution basically saying we've received X amount of donations. They were for Sheriff's Office, VSO, and on down the list. I'll be giving you an itemized breakout that you'll approve the receipt of those processes. This policy formalizes that process and helps us to have a reference point, as well as identify weaknesses. If someone's donating something with an expected return, well, that violates policy. So that's what this policy is for. Next time around, I'll also have a policy for asset donations, because those are also governed by Colorado revised statutes.
Okay, does your policy include giving the donor a receipt that says, it's tax deductible? They need, if they donate to the county, they can take it off on their tax.
I didn't know that it was tax deductible. Is that?
It
should be, yeah.
Okay.
But that's really, it's not for the county to determine. That's between, as long as they have a receipt showing they made a donation to the county.
And they went to a specific thing in the county, for the county, even volunteering their labor to do it. Matter of fact, they require, if you do volunteer, I know this from the airport board, that you need to take track of their time and pay them actually to do it. And then and then they're donating it, they donate it back to the county. So there needs to be a process in the policy that allows that to happen, so we book it.
All right, I will craft that into the, maybe I'll craft another policy that is basically volunteer service.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Service hour donation.
Or donations in general. You gotta handle every donation, and if it happens to be hours, it's specific, but normally it's any donations tax deductible, and you gotta write them up.
So, yeah, it sounds like there needs to be 3 policies: monetary, asset, and then in kind.
Okay. I will craft that third one.
Yeah, because this one covers that under number 5, because it says in here that a detailed receipt will be issued to the donor specifying all
what they do.
And that actually happens now, but this formally codifies the process. So, all right. Moving on, we have the Custer County Finance Department timeline policy. Basically, this is a policy that outlines the daily, monthly, quarterly, and yearly processes that the finance department goes through with, for instance, reporting, the 941 reports that we have to run, the fund and account reconciliation process, the CFMS fund process for the DHS fund. CFMS is the Colorado, the distributions that they get. It is very complicated and requires an accountant to basically review. The state is not easy to work with in this regard. So,
and Lisa's handling that for us right now.
So is there a better name for it?
It's CFMS or
No,
different
timeline policy. It's not timeline. It's the actual processes to execute, do business, the business practice or whatever. I don't know what to call it.
I can rename
Those are
it.
required, and there's probably.
There's no requirement on a name.
No, I'm not
this was
saying
just
there should be a name. It's a process that you're defining that's required in order to execute the mission of the finance department.
Yes, indeed.
And so, was there another county that you've looked at? They must have a similar thing, but
I did look at other counties, and
What'd
then
they call
each section in this report, as you'll see, actually references Colorado revised statutes
Yeah.
that they comply with.
you know, per
So-
statutes, here's the processes that are necessary to execute whatever. So.
I can work on renaming that.
It's not a timeline.
Okay, I can change that.
To me, it makes more sense. That way it defines
We could put
Finance
a
department.
schedule instead of
schedule
timeline.
of required
okay.
actions for the finance department or so.
All right, I can do that.
Rename that as Custer County Finance Department Schedule Policy.
Yeah, because it is a schedule.
Per-
I mean,
per-
there's things that we
yeah,
do monthly,
schedule
weekly.
Meeting, whatever, CFRS requirements or whatever.
Well, CFMS is part of it, but yes, it's,
Or the requirements to execute it. Anyway,
okay.
that's good.
I will
Understand.
change that once we're done with this part. I will change that and bring it back over for a signature. The next policy we're looking at is a budgetary process. Basically, this outlines the stages that we go through, beginning with a second quarter budget review, then distribution of the budget worksheets to all the departments and offices, and ending with the finalization before December 13th, is it? I didn't put dates in because the dates change each month. I put in
Sure.
quarters.
That's
So-
what it should be.
Okay, thank you. Basically, this outlines the department, the responsibilities falling upon the finance department and then the offices and departments that they work with, as well as commissioner involvement, commissioner approval. It also outlines certain meetings and workshops to discuss the budget and make certain that everything is, we try and balance out.
Reallocation.
Yes, sir, exactly. The last policy is the fund balance and reconciliation policy. Lisa spoke to this a little bit in her presentation. Basically, the fund balance and reconciliation process makes certain that we comply with state statutes and and the findings in our audits to make certain that our funds are balanced and properly accounted for, as Lisa mentioned, going through and hitting payroll and as well as the fiduciary funds that she works with the treasurer. So it is a policy outlining that whole process to make certain we're in compliance.
And this will help, basically, one of the number one items that we always get dinged on our audit is our reconciliation of accounts, so on a monthly basis. And then we're working on, I don't know, there 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more policies that they're gonna be coming down the line, so.
As well as restructuring, we have a purchasing policy that is a little bit, it's convoluted and needs some refinement. So I want to set every department, everybody that buys things and the entire county, we want to set them up for success. How do we do this in the most transparent and correct way? Make certain we're spending the money the right way and in the most logical fashion. So we're also looking at the RFP process policy, and as I've mentioned, the asset donations, and I'll work on the in-kind donations as well. We need to have that in place for the airport, the work that's being done at the airport, because that is a significant donation to the county. So, as well as, like I said, reworking the old policies.
And so that, the airport would fall under 2 of those 3, because of the in-kind work as well as the materials.
As well as just the actual physical money donation.
Correct. Yeah, and that all needs to, Sam DiNardo, it's, whenever I talk to him, it's always monitoring policies, the controls, and then all the donations that we get that need to be ratified or need to be processed through here So that, because those all become restricted funds, after they're given, unless that person goes, well, I don't care where it goes, I'm just, but most people, if they bring a check in, it's for posse, or it might be for mounted posse, it might be for the airport, but that becomes restricted as soon as we accept that donation, so. So it's just making sure that that we're not just doing things because this is how we've done it in the past. No, we do it because we've agreed that this is the process we're gonna. So I think it'll set us up for greater success in the future, less reaction, more thought going forward.
So, so we can approve this, and there always will be refinements to policies as we go along, so.
The last,
I would
the
like to
last
be able
paragraph.
to approve what you presented. We don't have to see, come back for a final product. We need to see the concept we approve, and then you're gonna send us these other stuff to review, and give you approve for, well, spelling errors, or well, you should have included this, right?
If that's how
I
you
mean,
want
that
to do
makes
it,
sense,
absolutely.
otherwise we're gonna
Yep.
be spending every meeting, policy approval thing.
The last paragraph of each of these says, a review process. Hey, you know what, if this part doesn't work, if we've missed a step, we're gonna review it each year and move forward.
The finance department will go and fine tune if it impacts how we spend the money, then we need to approve that. If it changes it from what policy is originally, there's gonna be fine tuning.
Right.
That we don't need to see.
Well, or a Colorado revised statute that changes how we do
It
something,
changes,
so.
we may have to go and reapprove it.
Yeah, make an amendment to it or whatever we wanna do, so, yeah.
All right, well, I move that we accept these 4 policies. And, how would we do them?
Second that, motion that we approve the 4 policies as presented. Was that your motion?
Yeah. I think that's.
I was gonna ask if you guys wanted to do them one at a time or all together,
No,
but since the
together.
motion was all of them,
He
if
presented.
you guys don't have a problem with that, I'm good with that.
No, I would just add that we, list them out for the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of doing it.
4 policies
consent.
are X, Y, and Z.
If it would work better,
I'll give those to Kelly so that
if
she
it
has
would
them
work
exactly.
better, we can deal with them one at a time.
No,
I don't think so.
Okay. So I do have a motion on the floor then to approve the 4 policies as presented here today. Any further discussion on any of these?
not from me.
And we don't plan on just a meeting or anything like that, get a group of them together and present it as a group,
Good
so.
idea.
Saves some time.
Okay.
I have a question. So where are these policies gonna be housed at?
Well, I
The
think
department.
finance department will keep a copy of them. We'll find it, and we're gonna post these online as well. Caitlin's gonna keep a hard copy of them in the, where she
Yeah, it
says.
belongs in the departments, you don't have to log them.
And I don't know, however you
Minute
would
for
like
minute
to,
approve,
I guess, do this. Keep
Well,
up
It
for-
doesn't matter to me, I think that
To,
it's important because sometimes things like that go by the wayside
Yeah.
with
and I think,
changing
Yeah.
people and
Can I-
stuff, and as long as there's a place
Should
for
be
them.
and that maybe be the BOCC admin can log, or keep a file on all the policies.
Right, and then records retention policy is one that's, we know we need to work on too, to help Kelly out and help all of us, plus the sheriff out, so.
you had.
This is the first step. If any of you have seen my spider web, this is the first step in crafting an actual policy handbook that will be required reading for different departments to which these apply. So for instance, Robert's working on an employee handbook that applies to every single person in the
He's got
county.
HR policies he's working on.
Right, exactly. These policies are going to be department and employee specific. So for instance, if I have a credit card that I'm going to be purchasing something, I will have to sign off on a specific policy that governs those actions. If I drive a vehicle, I will sign off on a policy that covers those actions. So, but it'll be a book, and it will be, I think that storing it with BOCC admin is a very good idea, but also keeping a policy in the, that applies to the department within the department too. So just as a record, keeping us on the
Yeah, they
straight
have
and
to
narrow.
keep, each department needs their policy.
Well, like purchasing, go
Kelly's
ahead,
the
sir, I
quick-
didn't
sorry.
see you there, go ahead.
Kelly's the quick for the board. You are in the minutes adopting a document as the policy of the county.
Right.
Kelly needs a copy of that policy as part of those, as part of a record of what we've done here.
That's what she.
So I appreciate that we have a BOCC admin who will keep records for the county. The official records historian for the county, Board of County Commissioners is the county clerk and recorder, and so she needs a copy of these in addition to any other place we put these.
Thank you, okay.
Thank you for that, and my apologies, I was looking the other direction.
No, it's okay.
So-
I didn't raise my hand, it just grunted.
Sue, we probably need a signature page on,
Signature page on each one,
yeah,
okay,
please. With date
all right.
that we've adopted those. So.
Well, I think they do, they need to be readily available. To Kelly's point, sometimes we adopt things and then we don't.
Where is it?
know
Where is
We
it?
don't know where to find it, or they're hard to find. So say the purchasing policy, that's countywide for each department. Somebody says, okay, what is our purchasing policy? What do we need to do if we're gonna, I'll go to Road and Bridge now, so they're going out for a load of fuel. Or they're wanting to, go out for bid or something on a couple of pickups or something like that, or the graders or something like that, so. Because sometimes I think without that policy being readily available, you will have a little different usage on how people go out for bid or something on that, and we need to make sure we have that available so everybody is consistent.
I think that the point of contact and point of failure for that scenario you just described is gonna be the finance office. I have people either calling me or in my office throughout every single day asking, where should I code this? How should this come out of my funds? All that process. And so making certain that we are compliant with these purchasing policies, that's actually come up in the last few weeks. So I think that the finance office needs to provide guidance on that whole process, because really that comes down to the county finances and how we're spending money. And the policies, the purchasing policy, it's, like I said, it's a little bit convoluted, but it still exists. And so finance is the one that needs to answer to the board about how those policies are implemented. So I think that recording them with the clerk and then having a hard copy with a signature page and making certain everybody's going through and reading them and conforming to them is, in the finance office, is probably a good plan.
No, and another reason for the BOCC admin here, we're not bothering Kelly Camper. She's just recording. She's got the record of all of our documents, but they don't just live there. They live with the BOCC admin. They live with the finance department or the HR department or road and bridge department, depending on what that policy is. So, without beating that horse anymore.
It's funny, this conversation,
Why don't we have them
3 more policies
live
to
with
be
everybody
crafted, so.
and BOCC.
Yay.
A policy on how we handle policies.
Ooh, that's Kafkaesque right there.
Any further discussion here at the table?
None from me.
All right, public comment. Yes, sir.
Lucas sort of brought it up indirectly, but given Vernon's excellent work in starting this process for finance, it sounds to me like every department needs to do exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So they have their own policy manuals, cross-department policy or whatever, Because you can't function without a resource to know what you're supposed to do.
No, you're correct.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Those in favor of approving the 4 policies as presented here today, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries.
I'll get you pages.
Thank you. Additional items of business.
I just had a question. Consider
We're moving on. Okay, sorry about that. No, it's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On our, back to the housing issue, how are we going to, and it probably needs to be looked at, to prioritize if we had 10 people applying and there's only 7 lots? How do we get priority? Is there something to consider there, because is one family more deserving than another?
Well, I think it's
That would be
First come, first served. Well, I don't know,
We've given we voted to give the properties to UOCOG, so at this point, it's the UOCOG process, how they make
right, but
that
I'm just,
determination.
should have brought it up when you.
Probably is first come.
UOCOG needs to tell us, is it first come, first serve, is it some poor schmuck that tripped and fell, and, you know, what?
Well, it'd probably be first come, first serve, and then after that, it'd be who's eligible.
Well, if they're all eligible, then they won't accept them, but if there are 10 eligible people.
I think from my understanding in working with Max and what their process has been is they advertise, they go out and they look for eligible
Right.
families. And then they help them through the process of applying and becoming approved.
Okay.
And during that process, then as they are approved, they're on the list.
Right, so they're
And
on the
then,
list.
so basically, yes, you're first come, first serve as they are approved, and that as they accept as well. Because some people will actually go through the whole process and then say, well, no, we're not gonna do that, and so then they pull themselves off the list. But when they get 7 people on the list, then that's what they will go with, is those first 7 that come on.
Right.
Is my understanding.
Okay.
Do you have anything else? We did get a report, the monthly report from the VSO. Would you guys like to address that so I could sign off on his form to send back?
Oh,
No fun. This,
we were gonna do staff reports next week.
Next week, okay, we can do it then.
If that's
Okay,
fine.
that'll work. Let's make sure that we keep that available. We'll get it on,
Yeah.
make sure we have that on in our packet next week.
Okay.
That'll work. That's all I had.
okay,
Anything else?
Not for me.
no,
Before I adjourn, since you just came in, I did not know if you had something for the
No,
board
I'm
or not.
dropping paperwork for Bill from my husband.
Okay, well, just 1 second, I will adjourn this meeting at 10:40. Whoop,
Public comment.
thank you. Public comment again, James, go ahead.
Yeah, this just came up and I want to address it. I want to reinforce what the lawyers said, which is you gave those properties away. The Board of Commissioners has absolutely no input to who gets the property at this point.
didn't say that, was it like, no.
You implied it.
No, I didn't. We have to have a fair process, that was all my point is, and I wish I'd have brought it up.
It's your issue, it's not yours.
Yeah, I get it, Jim, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Now I will adjourn this meeting at 10:47 a.m. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Slap my hand.
Welcome.
You are more than welcome to come up now.
Hey. Thank you.
Sure.